this mic's not plugged into anything, I just think it makes me look more professional. I feel like a real YouTuber. I've been playing a lot of Sonic Racing Crossworlds, you know, it's giving me the same amount of fun that Sonic and All-Stars Racing did when I was a kid, if not more, honestly. But of course, this game has revived one of the biggest beefs, one of the oldest beefs of gaming history, that being Sonic vs. Mario. And it's not at the Olympics, man. Can we talk about that real quick, bro? They abandoned one of the best gaming franchises for fucking NFT in the Big 24. Like, what the fuck was that? Anyways, you know, Nintendo's been receiving a very mixed reception with their Switch 2 launch and Mario Kart World. You know, a lot of people are very dissatisfied with the pricing, and honestly, yeah, that's the biggest, nothing else, that's really it. You know, before I get into this video, I just want to say this is not meant to start any sort of arguments, any old arguments between Sonic and Mario. Like, that shit's been done for decades. Like, it's over. Both games have good and bad aspects that I will focus on, so trust me, I'm not going to just be overall glazing Crossworlds over Mario Kart World, even though I love it so much more. Before I get into the Crossworlds glaze, I'm going to focus a little more on Mario Kart World and why it didn't meet the hype the same way Sonic did. On the morning of January 16th, 2025, well, I don't know if it was the morning. I don't know. I woke up to the news, so it was probably morning. Nintendo gave us the first look teaser of the Switch 2. And in this teaser, we also got our first look at Mario Kart World, the launch title. And the world went, I mean, I guess a little crazy. It was alright, you know? I think people were too weirded out by Donkey Kong's new design. But, I mean, once Bonanza came out, people came around to it. I think it's alright. I got used to it. In that same teaser, they announced that we would get a Switch 2 Direct, actually showcasing what the console and the new era had in store for us. From what I remember, you know, people weren't super stoked. I mean, they were just like, you know, we'll wait and see till the shit drops. We'll just wait to see if there's more interesting stuff. Eventually, the Switch 2 drops with Mario Kart World, and it's said to be the fastest selling console of all time. It's selling more than the first Switch. And, you know, despite the big success story that Nintendo wants you to believe, this is probably the worst reception that Nintendo has had in a long time, and it's only gotten worse. Now look, at the end of the day, this video is only to compare two games, alright? I'm not going to be getting too into detail over Nintendo's really scummy practices, which there is a lot. If you want more videos on that, I'm going to recommend a few in the description. I will be getting into my own personal grievances later on, but not right now. So I think pricing was a major reason, or actually it's the reason why people are having a hard time coming around to Mario Kart Worlds. Like, we were just getting used to games becoming $70, which is still kind of ridiculous, and Nintendo pulls this shit of like $80 for one game, for what? Mario Kart, right? It's not even the next mainline Mario game. It's fucking Mario Kart. It's the same shit we had, but just a slightly tweaked, you know, it's a better graphics, I guess, new characters, whatever. It's like, it's fucking Mario Kart. It's not a multifaceted story like Donkey Kong Bonanza. It's a racing game for $80. It still rubs me the wrong way. Like, the fact that they not only make this game $80, but they make the physical $90. It's like, hey, do you want to actually own your shit? Pay the premium, dumb fuck. And I think it's like, you don't even physically own the games anymore. You have like the activation key, I think, like a license or some shit. It's really bad, man. Again, videos down in the description, they explain it way better than I do. But okay, let's chill out for a moment and focus on the actual game at hand. It's good, you know, it's good. It's not $80 good, let's be for real. Like, it's Mario Kart, of course it's fun. Like, it's the same formula we've had since the 90s, alright? This shit's gonna be fun no matter what. You know, I like the new mechanics like rail grinding and the open map with all the connected courses. You know, the costumes are pretty nice. The soundtrack is insane, dude. It's like 500 songs with like all these different genres. It's like, I mean, honestly, the soundtrack, it's like slightly justifying that $80 price tag. But I mean, that's really it. For $80, I think it's justified to say that I expected a lot more. Now, let's look at one of my favorite aspects of any game, right? The characters, the playable characters. Now, Mario Kart is Mario Kart. I'm not expecting these crazy new additions like Crossworld has been doing, alright? But, you know, they went from adding these non-Mario Nintendo characters, you know, like Link, the Animal Crossing characters, the Inklings. It's like, they're nice because they're like, it's Nintendo's other flagship series, you know? But it's in Mario Kart. It's nice, you know, it's not We don't need these Smash level collaborations. It's just nice to see non-Mario characters in a Mario game, you know? It's just so strange that we're supposed to be in this new era of not just Mario, not just Mario Kart, but the Switch as a whole. It's a new era for Nintendo, and the game just feels like a step back from the last one. Let's compare the rosters of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with the Booster Course Pack and Mario Kart World. It might not be a fair comparison, but hey, I mean, Pauline was a DLC character and she got added in Mario Kart World, so I feel like it's fair enough to compare the two. Look, Mario Kart World has her usual Mario characters, the one you always expect to see in every Mario game, right? But they also introduced these silly little creatures, right? Like Cow, Pianta, Spike, Peepa, who was low-key kind of tough, right? Coin Coffer, Paradiddy Blood? No, Parabitty Bat. That's FNAF. Parabitty Bud. There you go. And if you heard the characters I just listed and you stayed stone-faced the entire time, that's what I thought. Really, people were only freaking out about the cow. They were like, oh my god, you're gonna race as the fucking cow from Moo Moo Meadows. That's cool. That was really it. Now let's look at my goated Mario Kart 8 Deluxe roster. Actually, I'll name everyone who didn't get added into World, alright? Including the DLC, because remember, Pauline got added. Okay, characters we lost in Mario Kart World include Tanuki Mario, Cat Peach, Petey Piranha, Metal Mario, Rose Gold Peach, Dry Bowser, Kamek, all 7 Koopalings, Inklings, Link, Villager, Isabelle, Diddy Kong, Funky Kong. Those two hurt, man. I need those back. The Miis and Peachette are all not included in Mario Kart World. And that's not to mention all the other characters from the previous Mario Karts that were not added in. It's like, I guess I wrongfully assumed that Smash Ultimate set this like new precedent of keeping old characters, and that's one of the highest selling games, and it has a bloated fucking roster. All right, I understand not wanting to bloat a roster, but just look at how fucking bloated it is already. Smash Ultimate doesn't feel that bloated despite having like 100 playable characters, because there's so much variety. But when you look at Mario Kart World, it's like 40% costumes, 40% creatures, and 20% main characters. Like, the math might not be right, but I don't think I'm that far off. And for whatever reason, they count each costume as their own character, which causes the bloat to be even more noticeable. Like, everyone will tell you the main criticism for Mario Kart World is that roster looks ugly as fuck, dude. What makes it worse is that some characters have way more costumes than others, and no matter how you sort them, if your favorite character isn't Mario, Luigi, Peach, or Daisy, then I'm sorry, buddy, you're gonna have to scroll a little longer to find your favorite character. I mean, it is a non-issue. It's not like you're wasting minutes trying to find your favorite character. But I mean, it could just look so much nicer and organized, you know what I mean? Look, I understand it's Mario Kart, right? Mario's gonna get like 10 costumes no matter what. But a single costume for Donkey Kong? Like, he just got his revival with Bonanza, and you're gonna give him a single costume that looks like a knockoff version of his Skylanders Superchargers outfit? Like, what the fuck? I really like Donkey Kong, I don't know if you could tell. And bro, they really want you to forget that the Miis ever existed. You know, this whole Mii erasure started in Nintendo Switch Sports, and no wonder that game fucking flopped. It also flopped because it barely had any games. Look, I mean, the first Wii Sports only had like 5 games, but those were interesting. I don't know a single person that was gonna play Nintendo Switch Sports to play fucking basketball and soccer. Just play 2K or FIFA like a normal person, alright? I know this became like a slight hit piece on Nintendo Switch Sports, but that game fucking sucks, I'm sorry. Look, my point is, I understand that adding new characters is a hard thing to do. Let's get one thing straight. I'm not a game developer. I don't know the first thing it makes to make a video game, alright? But as the saying goes, you don't need to be a 5-star chef to know when a food tastes like ass. So don't be in my comments with that, well, you don't understand how hard it would be to add new characters. You don't know shit about game development. Like I said, they could have just brought back characters we already had, you know? If I can play as a fucking cow or a cataquack or a sting bee, then like, where's the honey queen? Where's Rob? Where the fuck are the Koopalings? There are so many different characters throughout Mario's history that could have been added. This had potential to be one of the best rosters, and they dropped the ball, man. But hey, I know what happened to these characters. They're gonna get added in another DLC pack like in another year or so, and it's probably gonna cost like $30 for characters that should have already been in the fucking game. Wait, actually, who knows if this game's gonna get DLC, because Donkey Kong Bonanza just got DLC and it's been out for like 2 months. $20 for content that should have already been in the game, by the way. Pokemon ZA Legends got DLC before the game even fucking drops, alright? Again, if you want to know more, Watch the videos that I recommended. All right, they go into a lot more detail. But you know what? I focus way too much on characters, all right? Because they also dropped the ball on a whole lot of other things. One thing that people were really upset about was the exclusion of 200cc mode. Which is crazy because, like, this game is built on chaos. Like, that's why they added 24 racers. Like, you heard me right. 24 racers on a single track, all in the name of chaos. I don't know if this is a hot take, but 24 is way too much. You know, that's why they made the map so big, right? To account for so many racers. So then why not add 200cc so you can traverse through these huge courses even faster? You know what I mean? Also, the whole open world aspect was supposed to be this like crazy new innovation. You know, every Nintendo game needs this big new addition to set it apart from the last one, right? But honestly, it's a pretty nice concept, but it could have been executed so much better. They hyped it up like it was gonna be like this huge map that you can explore with your car, and you can find all these little collectibles. Look, I love collectathons. I love finding little trinkets in my games. But am I wrong to say that I'm a little sick of it? Especially when the only thing you can collect in this game are costumes and stickers. Yay! Oh, bro! Look, like I said, this is Mario Kart. It's not Odyssey 2 or the next mainline Mario game, okay? It doesn't have to have these huge new innovations. But for 80 bucks, am I wrong to expect more? I mean, you'd truly be better off buying Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with the booster course pack. You get more characters, more courses, 200cc, and it's only $5 more than Mario Kart World. $5 less than the physical, by the way. I just can't overlook those issues in the end, you know? They just don't justify that insane price hike. It would be a fine game for 60 bucks. But like for a game that's supposed to introduce us to the Switch 2 era and showcase what Nintendo has in store for the future, it did a pretty bad job. Think about it, this game came out in June. It's almost October. People really don't care about this game anymore. The shine of Mario Kart World is getting overtaken by Sonic Crossworlds or the upcoming Kirby Air Riders. And I think that's a perfect way to introduce our next topic. Alright, look, like I said, I'm gonna keep the glaze to a minimum. I promise to keep this video fair, that I wasn't gonna start any arguments. But just me saying that shows just how much I love Crossworlds more than Mario Kart. Like, bro, this game is great, dude. Trust me, there are some things that Crossworld could have done a bit differently, just like Mario Kart, and I'll address that, right? So I think we're gonna go in reverse. You know, in the Mario Kart segment, I start off with what I liked before getting into what I didn't like, right? But because I liked Sonic Racing so much, I think it's better to address what I, as well as other people, did not like before getting into the Glaze Fest. All right, first off, the price, okay? Sega's not that innocent. Crossworlds, you know, is 70 bucks, which is the average price now, I guess. The digital deluxe is 90, which I guess isn't a new thing, you know, but it is rough, admittedly. That's what I paid, and it kind of hurt. But like, what do you get with the digital deluxe? Well, the season pass includes characters like, listen up, Steve, Alex, and the Creeper from Minecraft, SpongeBob and Patrick, the Ninja Turtles, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Pac-Man, and Mega Man. Do you notice how much more enthusiastic I sounded listing those characters compared to the Mario Kart newcomers? But with that, there is another criticism that Sonic's been facing, right? And it's the fact that the game's been called crossover slop. And if I'm being honest, it just sounds like a dumb thing that gaming Twitter came up with just to hate on the game, you know? Yes, it is weird to have some of these outlandish characters in a Sonic game, you know, but to me, it's just not that big of a deal. Do I want some actual Sonic characters like Tikal, Chaos, Mephiles, Infinite? Of course, right? But it's SpongeBob. What more do you need? But I mean, in all seriousness, not all the characters have been revealed. Crossworlds is doing this thing right now where they drop a new character every month, 13 of which are being added in for completely free. One thing I don't like about that though is that, you know, I paid for my DLC. Why can't I play the DLC characters that I paid for? You know, they're right there. They're just locked. I'm fine with waiting for the free characters, especially the ones that haven't even been revealed yet. But let me play the ones that you have. They're right there. But you know what? Good things come to those who wait. Hopefully they add in the Monkey Ball characters. I mean, come on, it's Monkey Ball, they have to. And look, something I did notice, you know, something I took into account was the fact that it felt a little hypocritical to judge Nintendo for launching DLC before a game even comes out. Because, I mean, that's technically what Sega's doing. But it's, you know, Nintendo's way of handling DLC is just so scummy in comparison. Like, they'll legitimately cut content from a game. They'll cut story content from a game to resell it to you later. That's exactly what they've done with this Donkey Kong expansion thing. That shit felt like it should have been like the end game, right? But no, they want to make this new roguelike system and sell it to you for 20 bucks, dude. No, in comparison, Sonic Crossworlds DLC feels more like fan service, right? It's shit that you don't even necessarily need to enjoy the game, you know what I mean? I mean, the crossover characters are a major selling point, like the game is called Crossworlds, but, you know, those who like other Sega properties won't have to pay the premium to get characters from the previous Sonic and All-Stars racing games, you know? I know I focused a bit too much on that, but it's like seeing, it really pisses me off seeing Nintendo fanboys defending like Nintendo's shitty practices just so hard, you know. And I'll get into that later. I keep teasing that, but I'll get into it later. I think the last major criticism that Crossworlds has been getting recently is that it is really chaotic. But that is a very subjective criticism. I mean, some people like how crazy the matches can get.
Not in my head like, yeah.
I had 2 bullets in my boy. Shut your bitch up, you
Others, they want a bit of more of a relaxed experience, but I think the game is doing a pretty nice job at catering to both like extreme players and casual players. I mean, yeah, it sucked when you're getting pummeled by 4 items at once and you go from first place all the way to last, but I mean, that's just part of the fun for a lot of people. And not to mention, like, if you're in first place, you can still get like defensive items. You're able to like maintain your first place, you know? Whereas in Mario Kart, all you get is like a coin, maybe a banana if you're lucky, but no, it's like you're living in constant fear of getting hit by a blue shell or a red shell and then losing your entire progress. I think Sonic is a bit more, you know, balanced. You know, it actually takes skill to stay in first place. Alright, well, I think I got all my criticisms out of the way. Let's talk about how good this game is, dude. First off, it looks fantastic. I mean, maybe the warehouse needs a fix and a couple other characters, but everything else is great. I love the courses for sure, like, but I feel like they could have added a couple more iconic stages. Like, it's odd because a lot of people were complaining. They're like, we play Green Hill too much. We have too much Green Hill. I'm sick of seeing Green Hill all the time. And now that it's gone, it's kind of like, oh. But yeah, every track is just so neatly designed. I think the transitions from each Crossworld are so nicely done. Like, it doesn't feel interrupting or anything. I love the fact that the last course of every Grand Prix is just a combination of the 3 tracks you played before. Another thing that I love is the customization for each vehicle. Like, there's so many options. The only bad thing I can say about this is, where's the bikes? Can you give Shadow his motorcycle? His car looks sick, but, you know, come on. At least we got boards, which is pretty cool, you know, so I can't complain too hard. You can make each vehicle whatever color you want. You can add whatever stickers you want. And guess what? You don't have to grind for these stickers like in Mario Kart, right? You just save up Dumpa tickets. And the great part is that if you beat every character in the Grand Prix mode, you unlock Supersonic, who's immune to every item. Obviously, you can't use them online, but if you're trying to grind Dumpa tickets, it definitely helps having a character who can almost guarantee you first place every single time, earning you more tickets. I mean, that's just great for lazy fucks like me who, you know, want to collect everything in the game but don't feel like wasting hours and hours grinding. I wish every game was like that. Another huge thing I love about this game is the unique character interactions. Like, someone made a 3.5 hour video with all the interactions. But here's the thing, not every character is voiced. I mean, it's crazy that there's already hours worth of interactions, but it's really only the Sonic characters. I mean, I would have loved to see an interaction with like Shadow or SpongeBob or like Big and Patrick, right? But I can kind of justify by saying it as like, how would those interactions even go? There is potential for interactions like that, but I can honestly live without them. My point is, at least there is interactions, you know. It makes the Sonic characters feel more like characters, right? Whereas Mario characters feel like mascots. Seriously, Mario characters all have like 2 or 3 catchphrases, and that's it. It's so weird because like Nintendo has new voice actors for all these characters. Use them, you know? Show us that they can bring life to these characters the way that Charles Martinet did. By the way, did you know that Peach got replaced without knowing? She found out when the game was announced. Like, what a shitty thing to do for Nintendo. Like, you brought on new talent without telling your previous voice actress, and even then you give them little to no voice lines. Even voiceless characters like Metal Sonic and Egg Pawn have interactions with the rest of the cast. I feel like that's why Sonic fans are so much more connected to the series, because these characters actually interact with each other. They have their own complex stories and origins. And that's not to say that Mario's not capable of that. You know, Mario's had amazing stories throughout its history, but you know, the more soulless and corporate that Nintendo gets, you know, the more that it seeps into its franchises, I feel. Again, this is a racing game. We don't need this detailed story. We don't need these detailed interactions with all these characters. You know, most people, if not everyone, plays a racing game to race with their friends or with people online. Nobody's picking up either of these games to, you know, consume this like multifaceted story and complex interactions with all these different characters. But Sega still went above and beyond to put it in the game. Sure, if they really wanted to, they could have went the extra mile and given every single character a voice. But like, let's be realistic. I don't think someone like Tom Kenny would just give voice lines just for the love of the game, you know? Sega would go broke trying to get every character voiced. I mean, Nickelodeon couldn't even get their own characters voiced. I can give Sega a pass. Ultimately, I just feel like I feel so satisfied with my purchase of Sonic Racing Crossworlds, and I can't say the same for Mario Kart World. One thing that I hope for is that the success of Sonic Racing Crossworlds will make Nintendo look at themselves and think, wow, we really need to step it up. I'm not sure if Sonic will outsell Mario, but at this point, I'm really hoping it does. This isn't a Power World situation where Nintendo can just send their demonic lawyers to eliminate their indie competition. Like, this is Sega we're talking about. Sega might not be as big as Nintendo, but they are a massive corporation as well. It's not just some small team. At this point, the only hope Nintendo has of taking down Sega is Kirby Air Riders is set to release on November 20th, 8 days before my birthday, by the way. It's being directed by the GOAT, Masahiro Sakurai, creator of Kirby and Smash Brothers. And if we're being completely honest, it looks fine. I don't know why people are using Kirby Air Riders as like this major gotcha moment when you talk about Mario Kart versus Sonic Racing. It's like if you were to have a debate of like, what's better, apples or oranges? And someone in the crowd just goes, what about grapes? Look, I like Kirby, dude. Like, Kirby's a GOAT. I love this dude. This little guy right here, I love him. But come here, we're gonna talk a minute. I just want to preface this next segment by saying I am in no position to talk about people continuing to support Nintendo, because I bought a Switch 2. I bought Donkey Kong Bonanza. I bought Mario Kart Worlds. I'm not gonna sit here like these other Nintendo content creators who shame people for supporting Nintendo when that's exactly what they're doing, you know? Nobody forced me to purchase a Switch 2. I willingly made the decision to buy it, all right? Knowing full well that it was overpriced. I still gave it a chance, all right? And I'm just so sick of constantly seeing that Nintendo will never change, because no matter what, they'll just keep making money. And I'm even more sick at myself for continuing to consume the fucking slop. And I really want you to watch this video by Keldewa. Sorry if I mispronounced that, but when I watched this video, it made me feel so like disgusted with myself that I am actively contributing to an issue that I've had with Nintendo for years. And I really wish I came across that video way sooner before I dropped like 600 on the Switch 2 and Donkey Kong. I mean, prior to that, I already knew how to emulate Switch games without further contributing to the problem. But at the same time, I don't think anyone wants to risk downloading malware. So eventually I got to a point where I was like, you know what? Emulating can be a bit risky. And it's for that reason that I continue to support Steam. You know, they allow you to play a huge library of new and classic games. You know, and they always have sales and discounts going on. And I don't think I've ever purchased a game at full price on Steam unless it was like a pre-order, which is rare. Nintendo does not care, right? Shocker, right? They can still make great games, but you know, after seeing Keldewa's video, as well as all the other videos that I recommended in the description, you know, self-reflecting, I truthfully cannot support Nintendo anymore. You know, I've told myself that in the past, but like, in all seriousness, I just don't think that they're ever gonna change. And I'm aware that Doug Bowser is stepping down as CEO of Nintendo, but it's like, this whole new Nintendo is not a result of just him. You know, this has been a result of a lot of shady, greedy businessmen who put profits over people. And it's been happening ever since Iwata's passing and Reggie's retirement. To tell you the truth, if Nintendo were to somehow go out of business as a result of people finally stepping up and saying, no, you should have done better, I would not feel that bad, you know, good riddance, to be honest. But obviously that's not going to happen if people just keep consuming the slop. I know this was supposed to be like a fun compare and contrast video, but no, like I can't keep blindly supporting them anymore. And look, at the end of the day, Sega is also a massive corporation who prioritizes profits. But I think it's clear to see that Sega team at least tries to give the impression that they care. You know, they actually give proper fan service and they put effort into giving a good experiences that justify the prices. And that's why Sega did what Nintendo didn't. Chills, dude. Was that tough? Let me know. Anyways, thank y'all so much for watching. You know, it's been so long since I did one of these like video essay type videos, you know. And I want to do more of them because I love to yap, man. I love just yapping and yapping, you know. But yeah, before I leave, check out the recommended videos in the description. You know, they really helped me with the points that I wanted to make in this video. But so go show them some love, and you know, like, subscribe, all that awesome stuff. Bye bye.